Hey man, you watching Cold Red with the one and only big homie. My big homie, KD. It's up there and it's stuck there. Boom!
Ricardo or more. Drink like a boss.
What up? We in Cold Red. With there's smoke, there's fire. I'm your host, the Playmaker, and today we got a very, very special guest in the building. We got the member, Blackstreet, Milwaukee's own, Rodney Poe.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
What's
KB,
up, man?
what's up, man?
Hey, man, it's been a long time coming.
Yes, sir, man. Privilege, man. Thank you for having me, man. You know, I've been watching your show and thinking like one day I'm gonna be there.
Hey, man,
And,
listen.
It's an honor and privilege to be on your platform, brother.
And first of all, man, I want to welcome you to the couch, man.
Thank you, brother.
I want to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule
Yes, sir.
to come share your story with us.
Yes, sir.
I got some in-depth questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Well, let's get right to it. Rodney Poe. For the people that don't know, tell them what side of town you come from.
Man, I'm from the north side of Milwaukee. Born and raised as a young man. From my beginning of knowledge, like my first friends are from 29th and Clark. So Clark Street School was the first school I went to. So originally from where they, most of the time, they holler 27 and who that. You know, I'm born up under that era. But yeah, that's where I was born. Stayed there till I was about 9. And man, the rest from there was like a neighborhood that I really didn't appreciate living in. So
So you always went back?
No, I don't like calling it. You know what I'm saying? And I was only there for a short while with my mother, and then from there it was Garfield, like 42nd and Garfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, there was a time, right, before you hit the big stages, before the fans knew your name, before you can even cut hair, right?
Been cutting hair a long time.
Man, we're going to go back before then, man. What was life growing up like for Rodney Poe?
Family. You know, I had the father. He was like Shaft. He was a man's man. You know, Pops didn't take no mess. You know what I'm saying? Pops was a one-man band. Kept himself together. He was a groomer. He was a barber. And he also was a preacher for the most of my earlier years.
Okay.
So, he was married to my mother. They had 6 kids, 7. One of my brothers passed away right before I was born. And some people think I'm reincarnated as him because he was a talented one. He was swift with his hands. He was, you know, he was just gifted. He was a singer. I love boxing. My mother would tell me how he loved boxing. And so that was my brother Leslie Poe. Shout out to him. Rest in peace, big bro. But I've always represented him. I come from a family structure, you know, where the man is the head of the household. The woman is the queen. You know, I initially, that's where I come from. And then, you know, a lot of interesting turns.
Well,
yeah.
We definitely going to get to that.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to West Division for my freshman year. Yeah, I went to West Division, man.
That was before it became the School of the Arts, right?
No, it was School of Arts.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was my next question. Like, when did you really find that you had talent, right? You growing up in church, you've been singing all your life then, right?
Right.
So when did you finally take it serious? When you stepped in the hallways of West Division?
I took it serious as a young man. Like, we had a record deal, a gospel record deal when I was a kid. Me and my brother and sister. We would call it the Precious Pose. And, my cousin Chad, C-Note, who most of y'all know as C-Note, he was part of the group. But we would sing gospel then. We were kids, you know, 11, 12, 13, and younger. But so always was able to realize my voice was able to draw the crowd, bring listeners. I was always congrated on certain riffs that I would do as a young kid. I would mimic that I would hear something like the Clark sisters or the Winans do, and so I would do that in church. And for the most part, it got me some notoriety. I always had an ear for music. My mother and them, shout out to the NEAL singers. My mother, her sister, and my grandmother, her sisters and my grandmother had a group way before my time called the NEAL singers. But as a kid, Saturday morning, all I knew was the house would smell like pine, so I'd be clean. And all of my aunts and my grandmother would be there, and they'd be rehearsing gospel songs like the Clark sisters and different things. And I would hear how they stood on the harmonies and how they structured harmonies and who stood in their lane. And I realized as a kid how important it was to know your lane when you're doing harmonies. That's why in most of my music I do all the 99, well, really all of my music, I do all the vocals, backgrounds, and all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, but I get that from a little boy watching them put the alto, soprano, and tenor together and stack it, and I just spread it. So, but that comes from a family of, musically inclined people, and it started in the church.
It started all in church. You grew up with a structured family. You seem to have it all. Where did it go wrong?
The divorce.
That
Yeah,
kicked it off.
yeah, yeah,
It broke the structure.
yeah. The divorce, if I can say anything, and that's why I can tell my story easily from this side. Man, it's better to stick it out with your family, and it's so much you walk away from when you leave your family. It's kind of like leaving the gate open. And I was one of them interesting kids. I was mischievous. I was a, you tell me don't do it, I want to know why. And so when the gate was open, in so many words, the divorce, because you know it was a crazy situation. How the situation flipped. Um, yeah, the divorce.
So that drove you into the streets because the man's man wasn't present.
Yeah.
What was your first experience when we talk about the streets? Because you from a very large family,
Right.
cousins and relatives, right?
Right.
Half of them in the streets. So I know when you went to go visit on the weekends, man, you was getting into this and that anyway. So you was kind of like tipping your big toe in the river. When did you?
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. My family wasn't in the streets.
None of your cousins, none of your relatives.
I mean, not that enough to look at and count. It really wasn't. Like my first cousins, none of them was in the streets.
So you were
a lot of
surrounded
that
around positivity.
creativity.
Well,
Not
where
so
did it
much
go?
positive.
Where did it
Everybody
go
was.
wrong? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It went wrong when I had the free time when the structure wasn't there, and it went wrong when I got with friends that were from foster homes, and not put any knock on foster homes, but they coming from a situation that I wasn't familiar with, where they
Okay.
had opportunities to things that I didn't have the opportunities to, like weed and things like that. And so when we young and you got time, you ain't got no curfew now, and you walking the block, just walking hoods with your friend, a joint gonna come out, something like that. So it's just like, things. And I can't just say things went wrong there. I'm just gonna say that's when Pandora's box just started opening up for me, like just wanting to know what's going on behind the curtain.
Okay. So you peeked behind the curtain. You liked it because the road that you traveled ended up taking you places that you or your family never thought that you would end up.
I hated it.
Some of the decisions you made led you down a dark path. Let's talk about that.
I mean, I hated it. It turned me into something that, I didn't subscribe to be as a young man. So I hated it. But the twist in the story is, my father got addicted to drugs. So, I'm like a vigilante right now.
Right.
So,
Kind of mad and upset and disappointed all at the same time.
spot watching, making sure you ain't serving him.
So at that
getting
time,
on you if you trying to
that's
serve
when the
him.
beast comes out, right?
Well, I'm like that kid, like I'm the sixth child, and mind you, I told you about my brother Leslie. I'm like the reincarnation of him, and I've just always been the protector of my family. And so, it just was rough for Pops to be out here like that, and while I'm out here,
You had created such a name in the streets, right? And I think it stemmed from the pain or knowing that Pops was in the situation he was in, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I can identify that right now because, like I said, it wasn't fun for me. When you ask, was it fun? It wasn't fun for me, but it was almost like, your brother's keeper. If your brother was in a position, I might have done the same thing. And it's kind of like me learning the streets, knowing the streets to know how to protect him in a way. Man, I literally kicked in drug house doors for my daddy.
Yeah, you had built quite a reputation.
No, I mean, just emotions though.
Well,
it was nothing literally but let my daddy up out of here.
Right.
So it was but I put myself at risk for a lot of it just built a certain type of texture, and man, I'm just grateful to God that I'm able to sit here on this side and tell the story.
And that's the important part, because we take a trip down memory lane, right? So people, your fans, the audience, can see that a rose can come through the concrete and bloom, because we all have imperfections,
right,
but we perfect in our own little way. Because what you've been through, you came out on the other side. Now we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the success of Rodney Poe.
Yeah.
Man.
But let me say this, because I think it's important to understand that to see the change, you got to be the change. And a lot of things you got to go through to be able to help someone get through it themselves. And I'm privileged, again, and honored, you know what I'm saying? I give honor to God daily for my success. I ain't lost at nothing. I learned a lot. I ain't lost at nothing. But would I change it up? Would I change any of it? A lot of things would have to change for me to change the way I, came up. So like I said, it was a reflex. It was, if he'd have went to Harvard, I'd have followed him there.
Yeah.
You understand? So it was, I'm still that guy today, for my family, for, anybody that know me know, I'm just built that way, to be on the front line for my family. And it's built a courageousness in me to be able to take the risk, go to other states and make situations happen, be a part of a Grammy award-winning group, and then tour the world with them and represent, And, all this started on my prison cell.
Oh, really? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Before I went to prison in 97. Before I went to prison, though, I had a group called Special Requests. And we was a bad group, man. Shout out to BJ, Tim Campbell, BJ Horton, Tim Campbell, Mario Brown, and myself. Special Requests was no joke. And we killing all the Blackstreet songs. at any, what you call them, talent shows, we killing all the Blackstreet songs. So for me to know that texture of music, it was already instilled in me in the early 90s.
Yeah. And how ironic, man, that you move on to Blackstreet, Tim moves on to Public Announcement, and it's like we was talking about earlier. Who say dreams don't come true?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they come true, but you know, if you dream it, you got to believe it. You know, ain't nobody else gonna, you know, just step in front of you and pull you towards your goal. You have to be the one to initiate the steps. You know, initiate the small, whatever goals you have to make to get you closer and closer to your destination. So for me, I don't think anyone would ever hear about Rodney Poe had I not created the lane for myself.
Correct. At what point did you realize that you made it?
Made it is a state of mind. I guess, I mean, I do believe I made it because some people confuse it too with made it from being wealthy or rich.
Right.
I'm definitely a household name. I'm definitely a name recognized around the world. I've toured the world with the group. When I realized that was when I did my first album release for Gemini, and I seen the room filled with people, kind of like this one was, a lot of people I didn't know. And I was just amazed that many people came out to see me. It was kind of like, you know, shocking. I was in awe. But it put me in, now you got to deliver it, put me in that mode. But right then is when you know, when the city started rocking with me is when I felt like I made it, because it spreads.
Absolutely.
You ain't nothing without your city.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I attribute the concept of thinking of or considering, you know, myself being a person that made it, I attribute it to the city and how they feel about me, how much love they've shown me. And I get a lot of love on, you know, radio. I get a lot of love from DJs, get a lot of love from platforms like yourself. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's basically on how my city has accepted me, which puts me in position on, you know, even considering on, you know, have you made it or not.
Man, you have made some great ballads over the years, right? Where does that inspiration come from?
You know, like I say, my beginning structure was, you know, a father there, you know, being good to his wife, loving to his children. That's my initial installment. That's the first picture that I seen. That's the first love story that I seen. Other than the spiritual side, that my mother always made sure that we, you know, understood who God was as kids. But, you know, songs like All for Love, these are songs that represent a family, a couple that have ups and downs. And you know how them old school, back in the days, you'll see a picture of your daddy, and sometimes Pops will be gone and the picture still be up there because it's what mom represented, and it looked good. It's something for the kids to see. You know, it took a lot of energy to take that picture down. You had to really do something bad, you know, for your picture to really come off the wall. And so, you know, songs like that, I look back and reflect on my childhood, my young days, 9 and under. I say about 11 and under was when I had that solid structure time with my dad and mother. You know, sometimes they have some ups and downs, but they rolled it out. They made it look good.
No doubt.
And so that's where I've always took my music to that place. You know, I could write about anything because I write 90% of my music.
Right.
I lead with love, though. So, you know, yeah.
Love is always the key.
Yeah.
Tell me, man, how does a kid off 42nd Street end up front and center with the Grammy-nominated, award-winning R&B group, Blackstreet?
It's easy to throw a name out because there's an important name that holds weight that I can attribute it to, but it's so deeper than that. And it's important that I explain it this way. It's about being humble and accountability. Younger, like we said, I came up hot-headed, talented, but hot-headed, a confused, battered young man, and just not knowing how to use his words. So I was clashing with Tony. Tony's my blood cousin, but he always made it clear, none of that means shit. I ain't holding your hand. I ain't crossing your hand, holding your hand, crossing the street with you, you got to show me. So what you can sing. And at this time, I'm like, nigga, you can save my life out here. And I'm going to give you some real truth, man. Shout out to G.O.A.T. I hated that record, Groove With You. It was the best record from the crib, don't get me wrong, but I felt like that record, that push should have been, it would have changed my life. And this is the pressure I'm putting on Cuz. Like, man, here I am, going through this, going through that. I should have a record like that. I should, G from BCU, he a rapper. He didn't even want to do the song. I'm like, let me get that record. Tony basically forced him to, put him in that position. And I held that against him for years. So we were getting to it off and on. A couple of years we'd be good, a couple of years we'd be off because I'm always like, man, you ain't pushing me, you ain't helping me. He like, you ain't doing enough. Get it hot at the crib. And I'm like, I ain't understand that. But I know now. Ain't no steps to skip, man. You can't skip no steps.
You can't skip
man.
no steps.
And so I can't skip the line because he's my cousin.
Right.
It don't make sense. You see situations where a kid is grabbed out the mall and you turn him into a superstar without knowing him. Those are just, one and done. But the real technique to this, the recipe is you have to get down and believe in yourself. And
absolutely.
So I started booking myself, man, and started making myself really known. The radio picked me up. Shout out to Lori Jones. She started playing my records at 98.3, and then it spread it. But it got me still a little big-headed to where I wasn't ready to holler at Cuz yet, because I'm like, man, I done did all this without you, But I had a humbling moment to where I was just like, let me call Cuz. And speaking to him, I didn't want nothing. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't want nothing. I didn't want no favors. I wasn't calling to be like, Cuz, I got a new record, play my record. I really was calling on some reconciliation, some just genuine, hey man, a few years in past. I'm seeing you online, you being successful. I want to like on your comments and stuff, but we ain't commenting. I want to call you in person, tell you I love you. I apologize. I do understand the play. Nigga, take care of yourself.
No doubt.
It was simple as that. He's like, oh, Cuz, thanks, man. It's all good. Nigga, I'll hit you later. All right, boom. And I go about my day. About 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, Cuz hit me. And like, Cuz, what you doing? I'm like, nothing, what's going on? He like, sing something. I'm like, sing something. All right. I hit a note. And on the other end of the phone, I'm hearing a voice like, oh man, that was dope. And I'm like, who was that? He's like, Cuz, you know what that is? I'm like, no, who was that, man? Like, man, that's Teddy Riley. I'm like, quit playing, man. You got Teddy on the phone? Teddy was like, where you at? You in Georgia? Just so happened, I'm in Georgia. Making those sacrifices, believing in myself. And had I not been in Georgia, I don't know if that opportunity would have been as easy. And I was in Georgia, not in good shape, but I was holding on by a thread. And when I got that call, he gave me his address to his mansion, and I drove there. It took me about an hour and a half to get there. when I got there, when I met him, it was like, man, quit playing, man. You know how many records on this song of yours? I'm walking into his mansion. He got his back to me, and you know, I never forget. He had on a black Adidas suit with the white stripes on it, the black and white Adidas. And he just got his back to me in his big chair, and he doing music, and I walk in, I just stop behind him. I'm in awe. I'm like, Lord, you just did me like this. You know what I'm saying? You just, is this real? You know what I'm saying? What's gonna come of this? And then we talked, and we, you know, he's like, man, your voice dope. He like, you give me that Mark Middleton vibe. I'm like, Mark Middleton? Yeah, I know who Mark Middleton is. That's the guy from Blackstreet. He really didn't know where he wanted to go. I'm gonna be real, you know, because he was having his issues with Guy at the time still too. So he didn't know if he wanted to put me with Guy or Blackstreet. But
he knew he was gonna put you somewhere
he was
though.
gonna put me somewhere. So he started sending me music. I started learning the music. And man, before I know it, man, I'm in a room with Dave Hollister, Aaron Hall at a rehearsal, and Damon Hall, and Rex and Effects, and Big Daddy Kane, and Dougie Fresh. I'm looking around the room like, whoa, hold on. This is dope, you know. We still ain't talking no business though. You know, we just really like filling it out. And then so I'm watching the rehearsals. There's still a guy in the group who isn't going to last that long. And I don't know the plans of what Teddy's got going on, but when I came in the group, he was there, but shortly he left after that. But I came in hungry, you know, and one of the requirements was learning how to step and dance at the same time while I'm singing. And I never danced. You know that. I never danced. Dancing wasn't part of my repertoire. But it was either dance or go home, go back to the hood. And so just watching the rehearsals, that was my main focus, learning the steps. I know this music. I sung this music back in the days with my group. We killed it. I know how to sound like the record of Blackstreet. So I carried that. And the first trial, we was in Virginia, 20,000 people. I'm backstage. Again, Ted ain't told me nothing, but meet me in Virginia. We're going to get on the plane with everybody in the morning. We're going to Virginia. Okay, my hands sweaty. I don't know what's finna go on. You know, I know the part he want me to do, but I really don't know how much room he's gonna give me. I'm nervous about the dancing. And before you know it, they gave me a mic. They called me and just pushed me out on stage to about 20,000 people. Pressure. Backstage, I'm forgetting all the words because I'm thinking about it too hard. I know this shit, but I'm like, and I go out on stage, man, and wow. I'm talking about God was with me. I flamed the air. I flamed the arena.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? To where the whole arena just went up. They lit up when I hit a certain riff from Blackstreet. I forget which one it was. But I really represented that sound because all I'm thinking about is, man, we used to kill this when we was young.
Yeah,
you know, here I am standing with the author, you know, the producer of this project. You know, it was just time for me to. So I did that, and after that, you know, we was on and rolling, man.
Man, I'm listening to this story as you tell it, right? And the only thing that keep going in my head, man, is, man, if you stay ready,
Yeah,
you ain't got to get ready.
I promise you.
And you was ready.
Yeah.
Because we ask ourselves time and time again, what we gonna do when the moment arrives.
Yeah.
Man, the butterflies was incredible, huh?
Yeah, man. And it's something about butterflies because when you thinking too hard, they there. It's like they all over you. It's overwhelming. But the moment you have to deliver, they go away.
So we done seen you grace many stages with Blackstreet all around the world. What happened?
Man, it's a legal situation. Basically, a situation out of my hands, out of my jurisdiction, to where the ownership of the name was taken and under new ownership because of a lapse of trademark or something. And I don't think, I don't know if anybody was expecting it to happen. I think they were just rolling under the leadership of Teddy for years. And Teddy ruled with that. He's always been the face of Blackstreet and Guy. He holds many hats as far as an artist and a producer. So, and he's the king of the New Jack Swing, you know. So, I mean, his name holds a lot of weight.
Definitely.
Wasn't no show without Teddy.
Right.
So that was a rule of thumb. But whatever happened, like I said, it was over my head. But I do know it was with a trademark thing with the name. So anytime we would get booked under Blackstreet, there was a cease and desist sent to whatever venue. And so we had to go into BS2, which is Blackstreet 2, which is the second coming of Blackstreet. And that's how we toured. That's how many people hear BS2.
Oh, okay. So how's your relationship with Aaron Hall today?
That's my dog. Aaron, my big brother, man. I talked to Aaron last week. You know, I just released the album, and yeah, I talked to Aaron last week, and Aaron, I said, I sent him the album, my new album, and he was like, "Man, this album is fire." And I said, "Man, I hate I couldn't get you on it. I wanted to get you on this album." His reply was, "You didn't need me on this album." He said, "You didn't need me. God gave you the true gift. Keep doing it, fam." You know, when you get flowers like that from the OG, and it's a voice to who, man, my brother introduced me to Aaron Hall back in the days, man, when my brother was DJing, way before the Blackstreet time. And so it was a must that I met him. And when I met him, I'm like, this nigga from the hood, man. I know this cat. You know what I'm saying? It's like that person that you know.
Yeah.
But I know about 4 or 5 guys from the mill who remind me of Aaron Hall and his brothers. You know, they're singing, talented in a fight, and they ain't gonna let you step on their toes. And
None of that.
About it. And they ain't gonna show no weakness. I know them guys. I know. So, that's my brother, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my brother.
So let's talk about the new album. What's the name of it?
The new album is titled Love, Sweat, and Tears.
Love, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah.
That
Love,
almost
Sweat, and
describes your journey.
Don't it? The album, if you listen to it, it's a no-skip album. It is a declaration of my journey.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. And that's why it was important that I had a spiritual song on there called Forever Worship. Talking about how God has always walked with me and carried me through all of this. From that little boy who wanted to be a lawyer or a gospel singer, whose father left and he turned into something else and things got involved. I had the opportunity to clean my name up, pardon myself, shout out to Governor Evers, and be able to tour the world. Yeah, man.
So what's next for Rodney Poe?
I say a whole lot of independence. You know, I just feel free. I dedicated last 11 years with the group in hopes of getting that platinum record, my name on the charts. That was my whole goal. You know, I'm a hungry kid. I like singing the old records. I can kill the old records. And but my thing was to rechart or to chart with greatness. That was like a pass from Elway to me. I was looking for that. I'm a hungry receiver going out for the pass. And I think we came close. COVID definitely derailed us. You know, we was on the road. We was on the run. We really had some things lined up, and I think they were going to deliver. I think COVID kind of, you know, messed everything up and trying to get back on track. It definitely messed up a lot of relationships. I don't know what came of COVID, but a lot of truths came out of that. You know,
No
who
doubt.
really got your back and who with you and all that. You know, so yeah.
So the new album is dropping, man, and a lot of people are trying to get a hold of Rodney Poe. How would they go about doing that?
Well, you know, I'm available on social media platforms now. I'm working on a website, but I'm easily booked through any of my social media platforms. Rodney Poe 1 is Instagram. Rodney Poe is on Facebook, and Sing Rodney Poe on TikTok. But yeah, I'm easily booked. You know, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me and I'm gonna reach back. Yeah.
In closing, if you can talk to the younger Rodney Poe, what would you tell him?
The younger Rodney Poe, man, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. I knew we had something in us. I knew it'd be interesting. I didn't know it was gonna be that detailed, but I'm glad we made it through it. And that's me speaking to myself when I'm speaking on that version. Speak to a kid that's coming up like me is, you know, you gotta believe in yourself when all odds are against you. When no one believes in you, you gotta book the venue. When no one believes in you, you gotta build a relationship with radio. When no one believes in you, you gotta take the picture and print your flyers and hand them out and be consistent with that. And if you're consistent at being you, everybody else gonna fall in place.
No doubt. Rodney,
Yeah.
man, I want to thank you
Thank you, brother.
for taking time out your busy schedule, man, to come share this story with us.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Man, Code Red,
Code Red.
where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm your
Yes,
host,
sir.
the Playmaker, and it's the King of R&B,
Yes, sir. He said it.
Rodney Poe,
It is what it is.
and we out.
Yes. Stream that new album, baby.